Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam lecture, talk, katha. I have to apologize, I made a mistake. I prepared for the first 63, but I had looked at the old list. But today we are going to speak on 65. But somehow it's okay, because this is the last verse of the chapter, so it's a concluding verse. So I thought we read this first, the purport, and then maybe we can somehow link to the verse 63. Let's see how it goes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottavam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Taram Udarayet Nasta Presu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28. Puranjana becomes a woman in the next life. Text number 65. Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Barhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parokshena padarshitam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Barhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parokshena padarshitam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana. Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parhishman etat adhyatmam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Parokshena pradashitam.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Yat paroksha priyo devo.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Bhagavan Vishva Bhavana.
Barhishman etat adhyatmam
Parishman etat adhyatmam
parokshena pradarshikam
Parokshena pradarshitam
yat paroksha priyo devo
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Parishman etat adhyatmam
Parishman etat adhyatmam
Parokshena prashaditam
Parokshena pradarshitam
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Niklas, you also want to?
Barashman et adyatamam
Parishman etat adhyatmam
Parushena padashikam
Parokshena pradarshitam
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
You also want to?
Parishman etat adhyatmam
Parishman etat adhyatmam
Parokshena pradarshitam
Parokshena pradarshitam
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Yat paroksha priyo devo
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Bhagavan Vishwabhavana
Barhishman,
Parishman
O King Prachina Barhi, Etat, this, Adhyatmam, narration of self-realization,
Narration of self-realization
Parokshena,
Parokshena
indirectly,
indirectly
Pradarshitam,
Pradarshitam
instructed,
instructed
Yat,
Yat
because,
because
Paroksha Priya,
Paraksha Priya
interesting by indirect description,
interesting by indirect description
Deva,
Deva
the Supreme Lord,
the Supreme Lord
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of God
Vishwa Bhavana,
Vishwabhavana
the cause of all causes.
the cause of all causes
Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai
My dear King Prachina Barhi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, is celebrated to be known indirectly. Thus I have described the story of Puranjana to you. Actually, it is an instruction for self-realization. Purport. There are many similar stories in the Puranas for self-realization. As stated in the Vedas, Paroksha Priya Iva Hi Deva. There are many stories in the Puranas that are intended to interest ordinary men in transcendental subjects, but actually these refer to real facts. They are not to be considered stories without a transcendental purpose. Some of them refer to real historical facts. One should be interested, however, in the real purport of the story. Indirect instruction is quickly understandable for common man. Factually, the path of Bhakti Yoga is the path of hearing directly about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. But those who are not interested in hearing directly about the activities of the Lord, or who cannot understand them, can very effectively hear such stories and fables as this one narrated by Narada Muni. And also in the end of this chapter there is a glossary. I think in the last 4 or 3 chapters the topic was the story of Puranjana, and it was an allegorical story. And here at the end you find a glossary with all the different items that has been explained in that story. So whenever you have time, please visit this glossary. It's the end of the chapter 28 you can find, and maybe also reflect what we have learned from the story of Prachina Barhi. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadadi Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sakana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Satvedam Savadurudam Parijana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Patan Sakana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sude Devi Vyamani Haripriye Vancha Kalpada Ruptyasya Kripa Sindhupya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the story of Puranjana has been completed now. This was explained or narrated by Narada Muni to the king Prachina Barhi. His sons, the Prachetas, they were very interested in spiritual activities and they got instruction by Lord Shiva. But Narada Muni, he saw that their father, King Prachina Barhi, he was quite interested in material subjects. So in order to show him some favor and maybe also guide him towards a spiritual path, Narada Muni then came to Prachina Barhi and he thought a way or a simple way to explain transcendental subject matters to this person, to King Prachina Barhi, who is so much interested in material affairs. And here we see Prabhupada explains, we are also in this situation where we have, usually we are more occupied with material activities than with spiritual activities. So to get us back or try to explain these very elevated subjects in a simple way, we have given many stories in the Puranas and Itihasas and all the other, or in the Smriti sections of the Vedas, where it explains very complicated things in a very simple matter. And since I have actually prepared for the text number 63 instead of 65, I thought we can make a connection also to the verse 63, because the purpose of the story of Puranjana is to explain complicated things with simple examples. And what we see in text 63, there Puranjana in the next life as Vaidarbi, she sees that her husband has died and she's ready to give up her body also. And then a lone friend, which she has forgotten, which is our Paramatma, the super soul, Krishna residing by ourselves, he comes and reminds her of her true nature. And the Paramatma, he explains that your nature is not of this world, but your nature is a spiritual nature, similar to me. And for the couple of verses, actually, Paramatma explains how both of them are similar or identical in that sense. But still there is some difference. They are same in quality, but said there is difference in quantity. And this is something which is quite difficult to understand. This Mahaprabhu calls the Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, simultaneously one, but still different. And to understand this principle, here Paramatma is giving an example of a mirror. So I'm going to read the text 63. And this is kind of an example how Puranas try to explain very difficult topics with simple analogies or examples. So in text 63, Paramatma, Krishna is explaining, as a person sees the reflection of his body in a mirror to be one with himself and not different, whereas others actually see two bodies. So in our material condition, in which the living being is affected and yet not affected, there is a difference between God and the living entity. So when I ask you, in the morning when you look into the mirror, who do you see?
That's a really good question.
I think you see your body.
Okay, you see your body. So it's your body, you would say?
A reflection.
Yeah, a reflection. So what's the difference?
Yes. The one is alive and the other.
One is alive and the other not, but when you move, it also moves, right? So in one sense, it is your body, right? It's the same. Same in the sense that it has the same form, for example. It has certain features that is the same in the reflection, but also in the original. But still there is some difference, right? When you see your body in the mirror, you haven't duplicated yourself. You don't have a clone now, right? You don't have two Yamunas or two Shanes, and now two person can do two different things. No, right? So in that sense, this is different, but still some features are the same, especially when we look at the form and the shape of it, right? So the Vedas, they also, when we want to understand the absolute truth, we want to understand Krishna. But to understand Krishna, it's very difficult. So the Vedas, they have a section where they explain how everything is one, which we call the Advaita Tattva, monism, mainly propagated by Sankaracharya. But then there is also a section which explains how everything is different, Dvaita Tattva, how everything is dual. And the intelligent person, he can now combine both the dualism and the monism together, which Mahaprabhu did as Achintya Veda Tattva, different but still simultaneously one. So this example is a very nice example to actually grasp that. Because when we mundane example, I cannot say, Shane, you are Shane, but you are not Shane, right? I cannot say you are, it doesn't make sense to our minds. Yes. But with these examples, somehow we can grasp some features of Krishna. So we see that in the reflection, simultaneously we are reflected, but still it's not me who is reflected. When we ask who is the original of all, that is Krishna. He is the Janmati Yasyata. From him, everything is coming. All the creation, maintenance, and destruction, it's coming from him. So when we come to this example, Krishna is the original object or the original personality. And now, everything else, everything that emanates from him, we can think of mirrors. Where on these mirrors, certain aspects of Krishna are being reflected on. For example, we Jivas, we are his energy. We are one part and particle of Krishna. So in that sense, we are reflections of Krishna. We possess some qualities of Krishna. We have some qualities which actually originally originated from Krishna. When we see a rich man in this world, a businessman or so, why he is rich, why he has this quality? Because Krishna is rich. When we see someone beautiful, why is she or he beautiful? Because Krishna is beautiful. we are attracted to people who are very intelligent. Why are some people intelligent? Because Krishna is intelligent. So you can see how from the 6 opulences, things are reflected on us, on jivas also, right? Similarly, we say Krishna is Satchit Ananda. He has an energy that is called Samvit, so he's eternal. And we are also eternal. He is full of cognizant, full of knowledge. We are also. And he has an enjoying spirit, pleasure potency, Hladini Shakti, and we also want to enjoy. So this we can see, all these features are coming from Krishna and is reflected upon us. It's reflected on his energy, on his marginal energy that are we. It is reflected on his internal energy that we call the Antaranga Sakti, and it's reflected on the external energy, the material world. Also in the material world we see aspects or features or qualities of Krishna. But the difference is, Krishna, he has unlimited qualities. So all these qualities we have mentioned, he has them in unlimited amount. We have it in a limited amount. Such as the reflection in the mirror, it cannot do all the things that the original object can do. It can do some things, right? So now, what does Paramatma wants to show us with this example is, if we do one mistake, we are going to fail little miserably. And what's that mistake? We said Krishna is the original object, so he's the Purusha, or we call the enjoyer. But when we make the mistake and we say, Krishna, please, can you move to that side? I also want to be the Purusha for some time. What will happen? If Krishna moves away from the mirror, okay, you have never asked Krishna to do this, so you don't know. So when this example, I said we are the reflections, and Krishna is the original object. His purpose, or what he's doing, he's enjoying, and we are the Prakriti, we are being enjoyed. But if we want to take Krishna's position and say, Krishna, can you please go to the side, I want to enjoy now. When Krishna moves aside from the mirror, there is no reflection in the mirror anymore. If we want to remove Krishna from our life, we are nothing at the end. Right? Or does it make sense?
There's no reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it doesn't really make sense because the jiva is always there. Of course, it is described that the jiva is so-called dead when we don't connect with Krishna, but it is still there. So
the example, what it shows is that the reflection cannot be put instead of the object that is being reflected. You cannot switch this. Reflection comes from Krishna, it is being reflected. And if you want to take that position, our position is that of the reflected mirror, we are the reflection. But when we think we want to act as Krishna, this is not possible. This is kind of what the reflection analogy shows us. If we want to be Purusha, Krishna can, if we say, Krishna, I want to be now Purusha, but it is somehow not working because this job is done by him, and if he is not doing, and if we want to stand in front of the mirror, there will be no reflections anymore, because we are the reflection and Krishna is the original thing. Or Prabhupada gives this example that we are all zeros. Our value, we have so many talents and wisdom, etc. But this is all zeros. They all have no values. Only when we put Krishna in front of that zero, Krishna being the number one, if you put the number one in front of zero, it gets a value, right? It becomes 10 or 100 or 1,000. But if you take the letter one out of these zeros, there is nothing of value anymore left, right? So this is what I meant by, if we say, Krishna, I want to occupy your position now, that there is nothing to, we are nothing anymore. If Krishna moves aside, if we remove Krishna from our lives, then it has no more value anymore, no real value. Yeah. And throughout history, actually we wanted to enjoy for ourselves, we wanted to take the part of Purusha, therefore we ended up in this material world. And there are many other really, let's say, strange or very strong examples of people who really wanted to occupy Krishna's position. And there is a story when Krishna appeared, when he was king, ruling the kingdom of Dwarka. He was in his assembly hall with all his relatives and ministers, etc., with his grandfather and Ugrasena, with his father Vasudeva. So he was there in his assembly hall as a king. And one day, a messenger from another kingdom came. At that time, when you wanted to send a message, usually a king would send a messenger to another king. And this messenger came into the assembly hall and with a message, and he said, I was sent by King Paundraka. Have you heard of his story? And he said, I'm coming from a messenger from King Paundraka, and I have a message for you, Krishna. Please listen carefully. So now also you listen carefully. This message is spoken by Paundraka to Krishna. And what does Paundraka say? He says, I am the only Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Who are you? No one can compete with me. I, Paundraka, I have descended. I am Vasudeva, and I have descended as King Paundraka out of compassion to the living entities. And Krishna, you have falsely taken the position of Vasudeva. This is actually my position. You have taken it without authority. Therefore, Krishna, please give up your symbols of Vasudeva, like chakra, conch, club, lotus, etc. And if you don't do this, I'm going to challenge you for a battle. And this message was sent by Paundraka to Krishna. So you can imagine the reactions in the Dwaraka assembly hall, and they all started to laugh. And I'm wondering what Krishna thinks at these times. And Krishna immediately, he went out with his chariot to challenge Paundraka. And Paundraka, he was with his friend Kashi on a battlefield. And first time, Krishna is then seeing Paundraka. And how, face to face. And how does King Paundraka look? Paundraka, he has 4 arms with the disc, with the Sudarshan, with the chakra, club, lotus, and the conch. But they all look like imitation. Paundraka also carried a bow, and he called it Sharanga. Sharanga is actually the original bow of Krishna, but Paundraka himself carried a bow and called it Sharanga. On his chest, he had a mark, a Sri Vatsha mark. This Sri Vatsha mark, this is only on Krishna visible. No other one has this mark. This is a mark of like a hair, a small curled hair. So this Paundraka, he's having a mock mark on his chest. And he's wearing a mocked Kaustuba jewel, which also only Krishna wears. And Paundraka wore yellow dhotis, flower garlands, and on his chariot he had a Garuda flag. And his earrings were like shark fish earrings, like Krishna wearing. So you can see at the end, Paundraka actually copied all the features of Krishna and proclaimed to be Krishna himself. So when we go back to the analogy of the mirror, I asked you, Krishna is the original object, we are like his mirrors, his reflections. Now what we try, we want to be Krishna, we want to be Purusha. And here King Paundraka, he went to the extreme extent to really copying Krishna, all the features of Krishna, and trying to be Krishna. And then Krishna just easily with his Sudarshan Chakra, he killed Paundraka. And this is an extreme example how people want to become God, become Purushas, and proclaim that positions. And nowadays even you have people, especially in India, who claim to be an avatar of Kalki, for example, of Krishna. Recently, I think last or 2 years ago, I saw a woman, she proclaimed to be Durga. And she has many followers, huge festivals and celebrations, and also she's having a trident and all the other weapons that the Durga is carrying. And when you look at these things, you think, what are the people, who are they fooling around, you know? And she was interviewed and asked, how can you fool these people? And she answered, you cannot understand it. Only if you have bhakti to me, you can understand this. And what audacity she has to use Krishna's words. Krishna is saying only with bhakti can we understand Krishna. These are Krishna's words, and now these people are using his words and proclaim to be God. So this is if we have this understanding of the object Krishna being reflected and the reflection itself, we can then understand we can never become Krishna. We will always be his servants. Another thing that this example of the mirror shows, even though we reflect, or Krishna's qualities are reflected upon us on a small amount, there can be, the mirror can get dusty. Some dust can fall upon the mirror. And this is what we call when we are materially covered or contaminated. Prabhupada gives the word lipta. This is our material conditioning, when our mirror puts on dust, if we use this analogy. And what is the problem with that? Or one problem which we can get out of this example is, as I explained, the reflection is from one way. From Krishna, we are being reflected, and it's not the other way around. And now, if we start to project our understandings, our concepts that have been contaminated, where some dust has been, where it has been covered by dust, if we have our concepts, etc., and if we want to project these contaminated things upon Krishna, then we will also get in trouble where we don't understand things as they are. Because the reflection actually only goes in one direction, not in the other way. But if we start to do this projection, our ideologies, etc., which we have, which might not be perfect, and if we try to project upon Krishna, then this is also an issue that we get, where we, at the end, will not completely be able to understand Krishna and his purity and magnificent. Because, for example, the Bhagavad Gita, it explains in the chapter 15 how the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. And it explains with a tree. And the material world is kind of a reflected upside down tree. So everything that is in the spiritual and the highest realm or highest principles are reflected in this material world as a very low principles. And people, or the danger is when we now want to understand Krishna's very confidential parts of his leelas and his attributes, but if we are not yet purified to a certain extent, then we will start to misunderstand Krishna. Shri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Maharani ki, Gauranitai ki, Yasudha Damodar ki. For example, people try to prematurely jump into the canto 10, and especially his Krishna's leelas with his gopis. But if we have a mundane understanding, a covert understanding, an understanding of man-woman relationship which we have in this material world, and with this understanding, if we want to now understand Krishna, then we are going to misunderstand him. We are going to project our material understanding upon Krishna, which will be wrong, because Krishna's leelas, etc., are pure, but ours are not. And what I see is that, for example, it happens amongst Tamil communities that some Tamil people, they come to us and then say, "Your Krishna, why are you worshipping your Krishna? He's not behaving morally. He has so many wives, 16,000 wives. He's performing leelas with the gopis, and how can you call him Krishna, the supreme God?" And in this way, these people come to us, and I have met many of them. I had to discuss many of them with this false understanding, with their covered material understanding. They wanted to understand Krishna, and if you do that, it's danger. You are going to be misled to a very wrong path. Right? So we have to be very careful when we try to project our conceptions onto Krishna. Right? And it's also therefore very important what we teach in public, how we teach it, that people can understand it. And I thought, okay, understanding Krishna can be difficult, especially his very confidential aspects can be very difficult, but other forms of Krishna, people can understand, I thought. But I think 2 years ago, I saw a video on YouTube. This was, I think, during the case which happened in Ayodhya, where they wanted to establish the Ram Mandir. And during the time, it was a big topic. Ramayana and the Lord Ram's pastimes, etc., were a huge topic in India. And there was, I think, a university discussion and panel where also, I think, Sadhguru was there. And there one student, he made a statement which I have never thought someone would make. I thought, okay, understanding Krishna is difficult, but maybe Lord Ram, he's behaving in a human, he's the epitome or the prime example how humans should live. But then this student, he made a statement. I thought, wow, this I have also never heard. And he said, Lord Ram, he was an insecure person. Therefore, he acted. Insecure person, therefore he has tested Mother Sita, and still he was insecure, had to send her to the forest. So when I heard this, sometimes I can't control my anger, but when I heard this these statements, I was thinking, wow, probably the student is going through a very phase where he's feeling insecure, and now he's projecting his conditions on Krishna and on Lord Ram. And yeah, this is so we should be very careful with this. So this is therefore, when we are still covered by material qualities, we have to always seek the guidance of a pure devotee, of a spiritual master who has no dust anymore on his mirror, who is cleaned, purified, who can then really explain the original position of Krishna and our relationships to him. And for that, actually Mahaprabhu is giving a very nice instruction when we now stick to the principle of reflection. Krishna, Mahaprabhu saying, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. This is also an example how our dust being a mirror, our heart being a mirror, has put on dust of material qualities. And now if we want to pure it, to clean it, it is possible via the Sankirtan movement, via the chanting of the holy name. And so the spiritual master who is pure, and all the other acharyas who are being pure, and this process of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, of chanting of the holy name of the Krishna, it will then pure or clean the mirror in our heart, which has been now covered by material qualities, and at the end we can see our original spiritual position, and then also understand Krishna's original position and our true relationship to him. So yeah, I hope I could somehow connect the first 65 with first 63, and it somehow, I hope it made sense. So I'm gonna conclude here. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any comments or questions, it's free. Yes.
Actually, I was meditating about this mirror analogy in the last few times, and then I talked with somebody about this, and I don't know who it was, but he told me that actually it's not even dust that our mirror is covered with. It's more like a thick sheet of mud or something, or like if your mirror has been tossed into the river and there is like such thick. I mean, for some people it may be just like dust you can blow off easily or like wipe away, but mostly it's like a thick sheet of dirt.
Yeah, that's true, because we say for time immemorial we are wandering in this world. So you can imagine how our pure identity, our pure ego has been covered with this false identity, right? So with false conceptions, etc. Therefore, the acharyas say patience is really required, because it's a layer by layer removal. And you know, the holy name, if you chant and do the sadhana, it's a layer by layer removal, but don't be impatient. One time you can start to see the mirror again.
I really like the analogy with the zero and the ones, because we live in a world where everything is often really cheaply accepted or cheaply done in some way or other, and nothing is of value really. And for ourselves, we also feel like sometimes we have no value, but when we have Krishna, then we have the real value.
Yeah. This is an example of Prabhupada he is giving, and then also Indra Prabhu is using this a lot of times, where he's using it when we sing, when we have kirtan, for example, and he says, everyone, even if you play instruments, should sing. And he's giving in that connection, if you don't sing and play very nicely your kartals and mridanga, it's all zeros. Only when you chant, put Krishna one in front, then it has a value. So you can play so nicely, but if you don't chant, 2 hours of waste of time.
So if you play a flute, it's actually very
When you play flute, you should probably play it and then sing, play, sing, something like this.
That's the preaching we need for the bankiers.
Yeah,
zero one.
It's a good promotion.
Yes.
I really liked your point that we reflect our own imperfections on Krishna, and that we shouldn't do that. And I was thinking of this like reminder you gave me before about preaching, that we should preach what we really experienced and what we've gone through, and that's very, very difficult for me, because I tend to like say too many things to the people. And, yeah, I wanted to ask if you can help me to go in this direction, that we just be very personal and preach what we really see, not like our imperfect views on the philosophy of Krishna.
On preaching, what I do is I try to always explain simple things which I understand. So where I'm sure I have understood it, and I can explain it on with my own words. Because what I do usually when I read something is also I try to always think, how can I explain it with my words? Because sometimes we hear things, but if we cannot explain it in our words, this also means we haven't understood it really, right? And when we try to convey the message of the Shastras and Prabhupada to the others, we want to have as much possible realization, which having real realization might be very difficult or a very advanced level, but at least to try to explain it in your words, that is already one step towards the proper conception, or can we say, And then always bring them to experience things. Speaking to them is one thing. At the end, also inviting them to come to sing and have this experience. This is another thing, because then the holy name is also directly influencing them, and they also get an experience from their individual experience with the spiritual practice which we do. Does it make sense? It's a difficult thing. Everyone is having this trouble. Also, for example, I call it the Sankara mentality. The Shankara mentality is Shankaracharya. He took the portion of the Vedas where it explains monism and said this is the truth. And all this section with the dualism, he said that's not importance. What Ramanujacharya did, he said, no, all the portions of the Vedas, every statement has equal value. And this is also what the Jiva Goswami is agreeing on, and taking the statements of Ramanujacharya, that every statement has to be given equal value. Why I'm saying is this, that when we read Prabhupada's book, sometimes we focus on one statement but not concentrate and neglecting the other statement, because this statement is feeding our ideology, our concept. Other statement is probably saying something which we are not ready to accept, and then we have this, we're only focused on one thing. And so therefore, regularly reading and seeing also how Prabhupada is explaining the complete picture helps us also at the end to understand the complete picture and also convey this message to the other people in a complete way, and not just like without context some portions and they cannot connect it. That makes sense.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, as I understood, you told that while interpreting Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Ramayana, you have to get it from a person who is clear of the reflection or clear of the dust. In this mundane world, in this material world, how do you identify such a person who is clear of dust and who we can rely on to take this? Because these things can be interpreted. I come from India and I have seen a lot of texts which interprets very differently Bhagavad Gita. And I also have Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, where some things made sense, but some things didn't sit well with me. So to be honest, I stopped reading the interpretations because some things it's beyond my understanding. But Bhagavad Gita as it is made some more sense than compared to the rest of the text that I read. So I was getting back to the point, how do you understand which person is or which soul deserves to be or is clear of this?
To really understand it, one has to be himself pure.
How do you define that?
This is the tricky one.
Yeah. You all are doing that.
This is the thing. So, one thing is, all the scriptures, they have so many dimensions and layers that everyone can take things out of it, and therefore people think they take this theory out of it, this theory, that theory. At the end, it first starts with you. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to understand the true message, or something else, or whatever? So, and with that mentality, Krishna is in our heart, as he was in the heart of Vaidarbi, and he will direct you towards those people who can nourish you with that things that you wish to do. So, and what comes to Prabhupada books is, he wanted to give us bhakti yoga. He wanted to give us pure love for Krishna. That was his main mission. So all his purports and explanations are always concerned about this, are always connected, how we can love Krishna. So if that is your goal, Krishna will guide you and try to understand these things. Someone else want to maybe understand how the mundane world works, or how material societies work, etc. And then they will understand these things out of it. So it's at the end, it's because it starts with us, right? We are searching. So what we search for, with what mood, Krishna will guide us to, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's a very accepting someone really as pure, and we accept him that he has understood everything. It's a long process, and the faith has to be really there, a strong faith, and it takes some time. So therefore ask yourself what you want to achieve, and Krishna will direct you. And if it's love for Krishna, then Krishna definitely will, and Prabhupada with their mercy also let you understand what they are explaining.
And may I add something?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that Krishna is actually giving this description of a self-realized soul when Arjuna is asking in the Bhagavad Gita. And we can also look at that, and if the person has these symptoms and you really know the person, you can put a bit trust, and also, as Ramdas said, like the goal of the different kind of yoga is different, right? And in Bhakti Yoga we should connect with Bhakti, so connect to Krishna through Bhakti, and when you really see that this person is living that, and you go to other authorities and they also see it, and you can have more trust, and then you just hear lots and look how it feels, like if he really is connecting you to Krishna, it's nice, along to these qualities that Krishna is.
For example, I mentioned now people proclaiming to be avatar of Kalki, etc. But there is a description in the Bhagavatam when and where, to whom Kalki will gonna appear, right? So there is a description, but somehow still people can proclaim to be Kalki and then go away. So they mock, like Paundraka, they are mocking, imitating. So sometimes from outside they may appear like a self-realized person with all the attributes that Krishna is listing, It can be also that they are mocking, right? So at the end, I would say, pray to Krishna, what your goal is, and then he will also show. And he will then say, look, these are mocking, these are not really self-realized symptoms, but these are self-realized symptoms in this person, and then he will do that. Yeah.
I just had one quite funny thought. Like I pictured this scene where Krishna met Paundraka. Yes, and because sometimes you have, for example, brand clothing or something, right? You have Adidas or so. Then you go to the I don't know, bazaar somewhere. Then there's like the off brand, and it's like Adidas, and then the logo is other way, or it's a little bit crooked, and the seams are not like this. I think this then is like, on the one side it would be the perfect Krishna where everything is like in this form, then it's like the off-brand Krishna in this picture.
That's a good thing. And now we have to bring it to someone who can, in the microscope, test it if it's a pure watch or not, right?
Yes. for example.
This is what the spiritual master is. This is what the spiritual master is doing there. And also in your bhakti, sometimes we can have mocking bhakti. It's not true bhakti that we have. It's when we do it with some wrong mood, for example. And this happens unconsciously, very subtly. You don't even recognize that you are performing things, but it's not real pure bhakti yogi. And then the spiritual master comes in and says, look, the mood is wrong, it has to be like this. And then this is actual devotional service. So he's then testing if it's fake or not, and gives the stamp, yeah, it's original. Okay, then Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinde Hari Hari Bol.
Das war fantastisch. Ich mag ja nach dem Film Kommunist, das so schön. Kommunist ist so schön, dass ich nicht mit Notizen hergekommen bin, weil ich so, komm. Alles gut, das war super verrückt, richtig.
I have a question regarding the Rama's pastime. So, yeah, it's a controversial not in India, I mean, within myself itself, when I talk about, when I see that he is putting Sita Mata a lot of trials and tribulations, how do you interpret, as a human being, how do you interpret these pastimes as, like, I feel personally it was quite an injustice because he is supposed to trust his wife.
What does the word mean? What do you use? Injustice?
Injustice, like
injustice,
like putting her to a lot of trials and tribulations, and she doesn't deserve it. She didn't deserve it. So when you, as you are, of course, in a higher position than me to understand this. Okay. Anyways, okay, I mean, I consider, since you are a guru, I feel like you are a higher position than me. So how do you, as a person, as a guru, take this or interpret this action or not action? I would say this pastime, like this story.
So first, one thing is that he puts her afterwards in Agni. So, and there, one thing he does is he wants to show the world that she is pure.
But why does he have to get the rule of the world?
Because he's a leader. He's a king.
Okay.
So people want their kings or leaders to be without fault.
Okay.
If we are, otherwise we cannot become leaders. How you want to lead? He feels this. Therefore, he wants to show the world that she is pure. He doesn't need to. Actually, what it happens is, it's called in the Vedas, and I think it's in the Varaha Purana explained, that Ravana didn't kidnap the original Sita. It was a Maya Sita. Because Ram and Sita, they can never be separated.
Yeah.
Lakshmi and Narayan, they never can be separated. It's his energy.
Of course, yeah.
No one can enjoy Lakshmi except Narayan and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah.
So this actually was not the right, it's a Maya Sita which we call. And then what happens is then she was protected by Agnidev, and when she entered, Agnidev brought back
the original Sita.
It's for our understanding of always Sita, original Sita is always with Ram. We don't see it by our eyes, but she's always with him. But to illustrate it for us, then the Agnidev brought the original Sita back.
Yeah, but
This is one understanding behind many other understandings. So one thing that happens, Ravana could never touch Sita, and original Sita is coming back.
coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing is that people understand she was pure, and this is because as a leader, he has to show this, and it's also the vice and the other way around. And the thing is, people always see Ram, but I want just to point out the exalted position of Mother Sita, because she accepted everything. We speak today of a strong woman, how they have to do. And I think in Mother Sita you see what a strong woman is. She was the perfect queen in that sense. And she went along everything what the king needed to do, she was supporting him. So he wants to convey this message that she was pure, and she went through it.
Yeah.
And when he sends her to the forest, she's a queen, and she has a father, Janaka, Mithila, she has a kingdom. She could have gone to the kingdom and lived there, but out of, I don't know if I can say respect, but that she went to the ashram of Valmiki shows that she fully approved what Ram is doing, and she wanted to show how she has to behave as a proper queen. She could have said, "No, Ram, I don't agree with you. I go to my father's house." For example. But she didn't. She accepted what Ram said, and she went to the Valmiki. And this shows how a strong woman, and how a strong queen behaves.
Yeah, but
Does it make sense?
I mean, as I told, some things doesn't agree with me, and maybe sometime in my life, rest of the life, maybe some things might make sense. But so you told that since being a leader, he had to show the people that okay, my wife is pure, and in this modern world, when you talk about it, I mean, I feel it's unfair. But then, okay, in spite of proving the point to the people, why did he send to forest? Why did he send her to the forest? Because he did this purity test to show the people. But then again, when the question came, he sent her to the forest without a blink of an eye. So where does the justice lay in that?
When you look at today's leaders, what would you prefer for them? That they put more emphasis. How should they prioritize? Because today's leaders, for example, they give everything for their personal life. They give more priority than the service they should do as a president, for example. They care more that they earn more, that their all relatives are having a good position, etc., instead of really taking care of the projects, for example. And the queen, or the king and the queens, when they agree to become a king or a queen, their highest priority is always praja. Family comes next. Therefore, that position is a very respected and elevated position. If you cannot put your family and personal needs to the side, you should not become a president. You should not become a queen, because then, when you are king, you are not father to your only son and husband to your own wife. You are father to the whole kingdom, to all the prajas. And this is, I think, today's world we don't have this. Therefore, we have difficulties to understand. Because we see presidents who don't live to that. If we would have, then we have a different world today. And then as a king, he's showing what priority he has to set. And being Mother Sita, being the proper queen, she agrees, or she goes along with this. Ram, the most pain from all the people when sending Sita away felt Lord Ram. No one. He has the most pain to send her, except all the other prajas, they had pain, Ayodhyavasis, but he has the most pain, he felt the most pain, but still he did it to show how a king has to prioritize. And this is then the question, okay, why someone said it, why does he have to do it? At the end, when he takes when he comes, incarnates and performs a pasta, he wants to send a message, right? And this is a really extreme thing, you know, one person saying and he sends it out. Today we cannot live according to that standard, but at least we should look, this is an ideal, how one should be, and we try to approach that ideal, to that extent which we can. So
but we never know if the third person is telling right or wrong. Yeah, I mean, especially in Kali Yuga, that was Treta Yuga. And in this Kali Yuga, you don't know if that person, if for example, someone is talking something bad about my best friend, so I cannot take that person's words in face value. You have to confront or you have to talk about it to your friend and tell and confirm if it's right or wrong. That doesn't mean my friend will always tell the truth. So basically, and in this situation, how do you act like?
In nowadays, in our lives, always like confront both sides and figure out what is true, what is not true, etc. Today, everything with conversation and discussion. This is never taking one side also. Ram's example is really an extreme example. He went to the pinnacle of extremity and said, one praja had this doubt. I can discuss it, maybe the doubt will not, I can reduce, but maybe the doubt will not go away, maybe others start to also get it doubt. So he's doing this extreme example. But of course, we should, when we hear someone on the stage, we should always, what is in our capacity. Right?
Thank you. Sure. Thank you so much. So how often do you hold these classes? It's only on weekends or?
We have every day. We have Bhagavatam in the morning.
Oh, every day.
Except Monday. Monday we have just recording of Prabhupada, but Tuesday till Sunday every day will be morning.
Oh, okay. Because I live in Bern, so I was wondering if I can come. If it is only on weekends, so
we have also a YouTube channel where it's streamed. Krishna Temple Suri. So you can also.
So it's live stream. Oh, okay, that's cool.
What is your name?
My name is Kirti.
Kirti, Ram.
Nice to meet you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you have a free day today, or you?
Actually, this was my fun of the priority task, and my second task is I have to go to ETH as well. There is a job event happening, job fair event. So I started with Krishna.
So have a good day.
Thank you so much. So I mean, last Saturday I went to Langenthal ISKCON. So they told that in Zurich it's a bigger one. That was so small. So they told we have one in Zurich. So you
can come on a Sunday. We have Sunday feast, Sunday programs from 3 o'clock onwards. With the lecture at 4, 5 o'clock prashadam, and evening arati and so on.
That's nice. I mean maybe next week or something, because this week is today is not possible. But it's nice to know. It was really nice. I mean, I have been here in Bern for 2 years. I recently came to know about ISKCON. Here ISKCON here. And
you know it from in India first?
So in Bangalore, when I was working in Bangalore, I came to know about ISKCON. No, before that, while I was doing my PhD. So I was doing my PhD in Kerala, Calicut. So there was a girl who was distributing Bhagavad Gita, and I bought it from her. That's why I told her. I mean, that was the first book I felt like, okay, something's making sense. You know, when I would read the purport and this makes sense. But of course, I am a human being. I need some time to. Some things are out of my reach, but still.
Reading Shastras is like putting a puzzle together. Like you start from here something, some pattern here, some pattern here.
Of course.
And then you build it till the picture comes. It's not like a linear, it's never linear.
That's true, because I had a very different approach. Like I thought I should understand everything, and I was putting so much of pressure that I stopped reading purports and only shlokas, because I'm like, it's better to interpret something and harass Bhagavad Gita. It's better to read the shlokas at least. And when time is right, Krishna will show me the purports. And so from I think from 2016 I have been I know ISKCON, and when I was in Bangalore I used to visit ISKCON temples, hear the lectures.
Bangalore they have a big temple.
They have a big temple. 2 temples are there. Yeah. One it is told, I don't know, it's completely commercialized kind of, but there is another one which is like they have Goshala, they have the cows, and it's really nice. That's where I used to go.
And always time to time try to reread again Bhagavad Gita, and you'll see, because after some experience you have some past years, if you reread you will start.
That's true. I see that even when you watch some movies that you watched 5 years before, when you watch it now, I have changed as a person, so you know you have a different interpretation of the same thing that you do. So I think I should restart doing the purport also. All right. Thank you so much.
Have a good day at ETH.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. And you are from
Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yeah. Living in Argao. So, but I studied at ETH actually. So.
Okay. How far is Argao from here?
By train, it's half an hour from HP.
So you come from Argao?
Yeah. I'm working also in Zurich. So, anyways, I'm coming to Zurich.
So you are giving the lectures every day?
No. We have different speakers from our communities.
Okay. And I forgot your name. Sorry.
Ram.
Okay. Kirti. Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Hopefully to meet again.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. And check out our Sunday feast whenever you have time. We have every Sunday the year throughout, so you can check out.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.